points on the list. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your Watchlist coming in December 22nd, 2020, and the stock market actually went crazy today. It was a little bit different than some of the down days we've saw, but it left a little bit of fear in the market. We are going to talk about it. It was very, very unique, a lot different than any of the other days we saw this week, and I even said it a bunch on stream. I wasn't really expecting this, and I think a lot of the market wasn't. So it had to do with a lot of the stuff that was going on in the UK, second virus, but mainly the lockdown concerns. We have to go over that, the vaccine, the virus, and then also the stimulus, which by the time I'm done with this video, we will see what will happen, and we're going to talk about that. So there is a lot of things going on, even Apple getting into electric cars. So we have to go over everything that happened today, what we're looking at tomorrow, and how we plan on closing out the rest of this holiday week. So I hope you're ready, but let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed, and if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. It's the first link in the description, and it is pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/the-stock-market. You can post the play, see the plays, watch the watch list come to life, and yes, less trades, more profits. Less trades, more profits. Less trades, more profits. Less trades, more profits. Don't forget it, baby. And the most important thing you need to do, post your watch list below this. What you're looking at, got any plays, comments, remixes, anything, post them below and source that info. Shout out to Chad, baby. So right off the bat, like I said, today was a very wild day and it left a weird sense of fear. The best way I could describe it is today was like that close car accident feel. You're driving, you almost get into a car accident. It was very, very close. You still keep driving and you just keep thinking about it. You feel that way, you know, because even after all of the negativity today, the market still ended up bouncing and closing pretty decent. It wasn't as bad as the final numbers look. The Dow was even positive. NASDAQ was barely red. SPY didn't even close down 0.5%, but we were almost down 2% on one point, and the Dow was saving things, which we're going to talk about. But even after this bounce, there was still that adrenaline because now the UVXY finally popped up more than it really has at any other point in the last 2 months. So this is kind of giving you some perspective here because even after a bounce, the UVXY is still up. People were a little bit spooked out, and it was just the nature of how we dropped and why. And then this was very, very early. And especially, we were saying yesterday, this is supposed to be a slower week, less trading volume, all that coming into the end of the year and the holidays. So this caught a lot of people by surprise. And maybe that volatility could be attributed to the holiday. Maybe if the volume doesn't show up, it could exasperate some moves here. But that's what we want to watch for. But that was what we got today. Now, the reason why the market reacted to this virus news from the European Union. And now, I don't know if I could phrase this in a better way to give you a better context, because what happened essentially, I think the biggest piece of news that got the market worried and it could have an economic effect was the UK instituted a travel ban. And now at the same time, there was also this report of the virus mutating and becoming 70% more contagious or something like that. So there's new virus, new mutation in Europe. That is what was kind of spooky. But at the end of the day, they did that travel ban. So that's what the market was reacting to in the morning. And then we kind of leveled out as we waited more stimulus. And sure enough, Mnuchin kept tweeting. He was saying by next week, Americans are going to have direct payments. Again, we are waiting to see what happens with the stimulus, but it looks decent. And then that news we were talking about yesterday with the banks, that kept the market up and the Dow up a lot. Some banks were up like 5-6%. Even Santander was down 5 or 6%, but that helped bounce the market up throughout the end of the day, but we still did close red. So there was a lot of reactions from the EU news, and how this plays out is going to tell us a lot this week. I'd keep on the lookout for that news, and even this virus, again, just how it kind of introduced a little bit of a weird panic today. Just be on the look to see how this affects it. I would say the market, and even after the response today, needs a little bit more evidence or confirmation, but that travel ban, again, is worried. And even a lot of people brought this up today. People are worried that last time the real big spread was from Europe. So even though we did a ban on China when everything was happening January, February, March, and all that, a big source of that bigger domino that fell was when it was in Europe, because even if China was closed down, the people were in Europe, all that, and then coming to America, the travel, all of this stuff. But that is why some people are a little bit more spooked out about the UK getting this second mutation. And again, just waiting on more confirmation or evidence, and we're going to see how the market takes that. But finally, we should know about stimulus by tonight. Otherwise, it could start to look like it did last week, kind of where it looks like they had the deal hammered out, but they didn't. But this seems a little different. However, I don't really want to comment on it given last week. I think it's just very hard to tell. So we will find out here tomorrow. That's what I'm going to be looking at, or tonight at least. But the key is going to see if the market likes it or not. So a lot of you guys have been listening. Shout out to Chad. We've talked about this before. You're even seeing as the bill is rolled out and people are getting the text and interpreting it. What we want to see is, does the market like it or not? Is the stimulus adequate or not? So the key is going to be the market. Wait to see if it responds, or at least this is what I'm going to look at. And once it's approved, the market should give you something, or it could be kind of a multi-day event. So besides everything else, you don't have too much economic data. There is specific industry news like the Apple stuff we're going to talk about, but watching how this plays out and the short week coming into the holidays is going to be important, but we're going to see what happens. So I hope you're ready, but that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, we have a lot of plays. The first one is going to be Apple and then some of these LIDAR companies, but mainly Apple. They have news that they're getting into EV. They're saying a groundbreaking battery technology. Even Tesla sold off as this news came out, which I think kind of gives a little validity to it. I think this is a very, very interesting piece of news. They said they're going to be using even other manufacturers, but this was the Apple EV news. So at the same time, these LIDAR companies started going VLDR and laser. I'm going to be watching these, but I said it today. I was going to burn one and I chose not to play it, but we got the news. And this is something I want to highlight, get a little stream alerts plug in there. But I even put this out on the stream alerts. I said, I'm not playing because of my exposure, but it's moving interesting. And I said, look at the reaction for the LIDAR stocks. Now, this is all important because I already had exposure. So I thought this news was good. It was moving a little different. Apple's more established. It wasn't as volatile and low float like Baidu or any of these other companies where you've seen this news drop. So I thought it was important. But again, we had those leaps. I think I still have those weeklies. You guys remember we got those 136. So they were even already down. If this does take off, we're going to be able to hold those. But I'm also in a big position on the leap. So I figured I'd wait. And then this is what I'm going to look for, VLDR and laser. I like VLDR a little more. A lot of people talked about laser. It has come down. I think they're both good, but I think they're related, but very hard to say, but there still might be some hype. So if I could get shares at a cheaper price, I like it, but it was already up a lot. And then even after the news, it went up another 10%. So I think these are going to be interesting. You're going to have a lot of attention. A lot of people are going to be looking at this. Apple will be exciting, and I think you're going to get these other sympathies, but that is definitely something to watch, especially if the week does start to slow down. I think these are going to take over the headlines, and then watch Tesla as a sympathy. So that's the first play. The second play, I got the Intel puts. I say I bid on it, but I got time. I like this play because pretty much anytime we've had volatility or anytime similar news has came out, it's moved an interesting way, and it even just puts Intel in just a unique position, or every time it gets down to these levels, it's going to make a move. These are just key support levels over time and how it's been just over the years and with similar news and since their last meeting and all that. So I think it's a crucial level. That's why instead of trying to play it on the timing, and I was hoping they didn't appreciate too much, but I still paid a premium on them, I got a little bit more time, and that's just been the key. Get time, get time, get time. So I grabbed in the morning. This was the first play, April 21, 32.5 puts. I bought 10 of them for 50 cents, spent $500. They even closed, I think, down 10%, 11%. So we lost $55. Again, a decent sized position, but I'm just making sure I got time. And this is well below the strikes. I think they got down to like 46 maybe, or 42. Yeah, they're at 46 now, but last time it was to 42, and then they were up, 51. So it's a slow mover. Intel is a big float. Shout out to the float lesson. But that was the second play. And then the third play that I made today, and I like it, and it just pretty much just given the UK news just in case, I grabbed Expedia. I bought 10 of the January 2022. Again, another leap, $60 puts, but I bought them at $293. So I spent about $3,000 for these 10 contracts. Again, just getting time. And what I'm saying in response to the UK news, reacting to travel and travel ban. We've talked about this a little bit before. It's one thing what's happening in the States, but there is also other countries, and what they do, you cannot control that. So I think travel is going to be a little bit interesting here, but the real X factor is going to be that second mutation. It's either today was some BS and the market is just going to kind of brush it off later, or if you see this return and you see any sort of news that, and it gets taken seriously or it holds any validity or weight that there is going to be this second wave, and a headline would be it hit United States or it hits this state, then you might see a little bit of a panic. So these contracts were going for $5,000 or like $4,000, I think. So back a few months ago, they had a lot more time. Expedia made a monster rally too. So I like it. They're still a little expensive, but what I'm paying for is time, and that is what I want to protect me with a lot of these plays, both up and down. So there is that. And then finally, the last two plays I'm going to be looking at tomorrow, Open Door. So this was a SPAC. It now switched from IPOB into to open. This is what's going to happen with GHIV. This is how the SPACs work. DraftKings had a different ticker before it came on here. So it is now trading under the ticker open. The merger is complete. I like this company. I think they're pretty decent. It's real estate related. So I want to watch how it plays out. Give this SPAC a little bit of time, kind of like you've seen with the IPOs, because it's not the same thing as an IPO. So the criteria is a lot different, or I don't know if you could universally apply it. So watch that. But speaking of IPOs, Airbnb, now watch this. I said this on the watch list yesterday. I didn't have time for the options. The market was a little bit spooky this morning, but we are still holding those shares. We're up 7% on them now. We got $1,000 in profit. And now somebody asked me today, a lot of people asked, they said, should we make the Airbnb free? You have $1,000 in profit off 100 shares. You could sell back your initial investment and walk away with like 10 free shares of Airbnb for free. And I said no. Now, depending on your portfolio, your size, and what you think, that is up to you. You need to decide this. So I want to give you another example to see why I'm not and what I did before, and that was the AI IPO on that same day. So if you guys remember, we got this IPO. I bought about 40 or 50 shares. It shot up. We had 20 or 30% on the initial investment. So I sold back 40 shares. I got 10 free shares. It was worth $1,000. And then AI kept going up another 50%. We have $1,600 profit on it. But relative to this play, I had about a 30% gain. So even though I have the same dollar amount of profit and I could walk away with another $1,000, it was more so about the percentage of the actual investment. And I do want to hold Airbnb a little bit longer, especially if we've kind of gotten through a little bit of the hiccups, and then if it starts to have a little bit of a FOMO rally and carry off with that demand that we even saw from the first day. But I want to watch how this plays out. If it goes up really, really fast, then I could get 50% or like 35, 40%. I may consider making it free, but until then, I'm just going to be riding the waves up and down. If I want to sell it when it's down, I'm probably not going to sell it up at 7%. We had a lot more longer term of a plan with this, but if I get rewarded with a quick short-term gain, 50%, something where I could walk away with a sizable position relative to what I invested, I could be okay with that. So that's what I'm going to be waiting for, and those are the plays for today. Again, I think the Apple LIDAR stuff is going to probably take over the market, but as far as everything else, watch JP Morgan, the banks, they absolutely ripped. We made a random play on it, so shout out to Colt, baby, and the people who have it. We have an old JP Morgan, but I wanted these plays, but they were really expensive, especially as the market was dropping and they were holding up. Then the market did its thing a little bit and they held, so I want to wait a little bit. I still think there's deals, but there's still a little premium baked into it, and then you had a lot of volatility this morning. But watch all the banks, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, I think Goldman Sachs hit highs, then BIDU. Watch them. They did very, very good. Even off of the morning, they really started to rotate out. When the market was doing good, people kind of sold it off, but when the market was doing bad this morning, the China stocks did good, especially BIDU, but now we took advantage of that in the morning, and I made that play free. So I still want to double dip. I still want to look at it, and I'm just using these contract premiums because I'm like, dude, this is getting out of hand. I may even want to sell premium, and you could see how you could have done that today, but I figured I would just make this free. I probably should have ghetto spread, but it was up a lot. The market was a little crazy today. Literally, you could watch the stream. Right when I sold, I was like, oh, I could have ghetto spreaded it, but I will take it. Still a win-win position no matter what. You guys remember, we bought this play, last week? 6 days ago on December 15th, I got that Leap 240 call. We paid $9.90 for it, but today it was shooting up in the morning. This was in 30 minutes, so at like 7 a.m. So literally right there is breaking 201 again. Again, the momentum was crazy. I decided to sell that one out. Should have ghetto spread it, but I sold the 240 call for $2,600. So 5 days ago, we bought 2 of these. That was our first scale, and remember, I went a little bit lighter on these. That was playing the EV news. It shot up today. I spent $1,800 for 2 of them, sold one back for $2,600, made an $800 net profit, and I have a contract still available for free. So that was the only other play today. Oh, I did the covered call as well too. Coming back to the Robinhood, you guys probably remember this, and I did the Robinhood Spotlight. This was actually the stock that I looked at the most because this was our biggest loser. When we made this account, this was the real estate account. If you guys don't remember, we started this account with like, $30,000. We took some of the real estate guys' commissions. We hit them up with the stream alerts. We wanted to see what they would do and how they play it out, and they were getting into the IPO craze. This was an IPO, and they kept buying shares, and they didn't sell it the whole time, so they still followed that part, believe it or not. Amen. But we were down a lot on this position, so it's bouncing up. So what I decided to do today was sell covered calls. Now, I've done this a lot before, so this was the play that we made. We sold the real $35 calls. I sold 10 of them for $3,500 credit. I collected $3,500, but this is a covered call. I didn't have to put up any money. I actually just got $3,500 to add to my balance, and that is because we own 100 shares. So we own 1,200 shares at $22.06. I only sold 10, so it's taking collateral 1,000 shares. I've pretty much agreed to sell 1,000 of those shares that I bought at 22 for $35. So I'm still down on it 10%, but I collected more than that today in cash. So realistically, that drops our cost basis down another $3. But even if real shot up, it's gaining some traction. It looks like it's bouncing back by selling a 35 call. This one had a lot more time, and I was okay with it because pretty much on the back end, even if it shoots up 22 to 35, that's still $13 a share. On 1,000 shares, that's $13,000. So this play, we've been down on it for what? Probably like a year or so. So for me to now walk away and pretty much almost be at break even after collecting the money through this, and I'm going to show you something else, and to walk away worst case scenario, if it rips, I may miss out on stuff, but I can say good riddance with the 13,000 guaranteed profit. I will take it. But now, to show you some perspective, I've done this before on this stock. We've held it for a while. You guys have heard about this if you've been watching. So not only did we sell those covered calls in June, I sold another $840 worth. We got to keep that money. In December 2019, we sold 4 of them, got another $160. In September, we sold another $1,000 worth. So you can see here, I've collected about another $2,000 or so from additional credit. So we've gotten about almost 20% of the total investment. I think they put in what? 26,000. We got 5,000, so about 20% of that just through the covered calls, and now we are guaranteed a win. Otherwise, we'll just keep having to hold it out, but pretty decent so far. So that was the only other play we made, a covered call. I thought that was pretty cool, and you guys could learn from that. But everything else, again, watch those LIDAR companies, watch the Intel, watch AAL. I still have that put. They didn't go up too much, but I think airlines, again, canary in the coal mine. I think those are going to be important. Zoom and Google, both of these were interesting. Zoom popped up a little bit in the morning as the market was doing good, but then eventually tanked with everything. But the interesting part about all of this is that I thought I was going to get crushed on those Zoom contracts. We actually ended up going up 6%. So even though this stock went up from when we bought it, remember we bought those Friday, those premiums got jacked up a little bit, and maybe we could blame the VIX. So I want to see how those play out. And then same thing even with Google, but Google still ended a little red. It even bounced up. However, we did all of these short plays on Friday. So again, think about how this morning impacted everything, but we still made 5%, $300. I was up 10%. I had almost like $1,000 in gain on this at one point, or $500 in profit, excuse me. But the fact it kind of held up, that caught my attention. It could also be the spreads with the leaps, but watch both of those. I'm still holding those. Airbnb, again, we have the shares. Watch that. The Expedias I'm going to be watching, and then Open Door. And then finally, UVX is going to be important. If you see the surprises like today, it highlights it. It highlights the overall market. Other than that, watch the dollar. And I might make a whole nother video on this, but this is just going to be the secret. Again, UUP was important when we first saw it in the beginning of the year. Even though it has gone down, it does not mean everything is done with it. And pretty much here, just notice as the stimulus bill is getting closer and closer, even though we had that weird weekend, watch as the dollar starts to come up here. But the thing I'm noticing is that even if there's stimulus and the dollar goes up, it's kind of telling you something. But if the dollar starts to shoot up and actually like shoot back up, that is going to be a real big warning sign. So I am going to be watching how any stimulus bill, even the time frame, even as money starts going out next week, how does that affect UUP? And that might give us some hints coming into the next year. So I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure Hydra Healthy ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to not forget, baby, 2021. You gotta have the discipline and you gotta love it. It's sweet like honey. But the gold loves you. I love you. I will see you in the morning. Let's go.